A man they believed was a white supremacist stole a truck, crashed it into someone's house, and went on a shooting spree, specifically targeting African Americans in our nation. The two individuals he killed were at completely random. He crashed this vehicle, went walking down the street, or running down the street, and shot two people. One of those men was David Green, a retired state trooper, someone that served this country. The other individual was Ramona Cooper, an Air Force veteran, another person that served this country. Where we are at today as a nation, this type of behavior is unacceptable. And you might ask yourself, why is this sort of thing happening in our country? What is the reason for it? Is it the work of a lone crazy person that's just going out and doing this type of activity? Or is it something deeper, something uglier, something that the nation doesn't want to address? We have a country today where the talk about extremism, the talk about white supremacy, the talk about race is going on constantly. Yet what it's doing is it's causing more division in our country. Everyone wants to point the finger and blame each other. You have Democratic lawmakers, Republican lawmakers blaming each other for this sort of activity, pointing the fingers. You might want to ask, why is Jeff Schoep, the former Nazi leader, talking to me about this today? Why? Because I was one of those people that was creating those divisions for 25 years, running the National Socialist Movement, 27 years total involved in that organization. I was a source of division. I walked away from that life. Yet now, what we hear in America is all this talk about race, and two people today, two Americans lost their lives. Why? For nothing, for no reason. Completely innocent people that just happened to be in the neighborhood where this person went on this rampage and killed them in a vicious, hateful manner. So yeah, I'm angry. You should be angry too. And instead of pointing the finger and saying, well, it was just this one bad white supremacist, why don't we take a look at America and where we're at today as a country? Why don't we take a look at the driving factors, the reasons, and how we can address these things? So I'd like to take a moment to address the white supremacist movement, the white nationalist movement, call it what you want. I was there most of my adult life until I walked away just over 2 years ago in early 2019. I understand the grievances. I understand where they're coming from, why they do the things that they do. They believe that it's a patriotic duty to be part of this type of movement that they're involved in. No one joins these things thinking they're going to be the bad guy, but they are being the bad guy and having a hard time seeing it. So as someone who spent that many years there, I would like to address the people that are involved in these movements. And yes, I know you all don't agree with this sort of activity or this sort of behavior. I understand that. I'm not here to label. I'm certainly not here to judge. I have no right to judge. I was there too. I want to appeal to your humanity, to your patriotism, to the reasons why you got involved in that type of movement in the first place. You got involved thinking you were going to do something good, that you were doing something noble, something honorable. I thought that way too. I thought that way for a very long time. Ask yourself, look in the mirror and ask yourself, is murdering innocent people walking down the street that had nothing to do with anything, is that a noble and honorable thing? Is that why you joined the movement? Is that something that brings you pride or joy? Is that good for your people? Is that good for your country? Is that good for your race? How? How is that good? How is that noble? And I know you're watching. I know you're listening, and I know you'll hear this message. Ask yourself that. Remember the names of these people. David Green spent 36 years on the police force to make this country safe. He served this nation. Ramona Cooper was an Air Force veteran, served this nation. If you're a patriot, you believe in this nation, how is that okay? How is that acceptable? It's not acceptable. You know it deep in your heart, in your soul, deep down inside, you know that is not acceptable. Around the time I left the movement, there was cases where people were walking into synagogues, into mosques, into churches, even at Walmart, and just pulling the trigger on innocent people. How is that noble? How is that honorable? How can you justify that? How can you call those people martyrs that do those things? There's no nobility or honor in that sort of thing. It's reprehensible. You know it in your heart, in your soul. You know that it's wrong. And I know a lot of you are watching this and you're going, yeah, we know it's wrong. And that individual, those individuals that did those things, that killed those two people earlier today, and that killed those people in the mosques and the synagogues and churches and all those things, a lot of you will say, you know what, those are bad people that did that. They shouldn't have done that. We're not like that. We just care about our race and our country. We're not like those people. We're not all like that. I understand that. I know not everyone that's involved believes that way. But I want you to think for a moment. I want you to reflect and look at those scenarios. Look at those people. I knew some of those people that have done things like that over the years. And some of you knew them too. A brother of mine had said, a guy that was in the movement, had said to me one time, recently, he said, Jeff, I think to myself about the church down the street from my house. He goes, how many of those people in that church do you think know somebody that killed somebody else? I said, I don't know. And he goes, think about it. How many in that church, in the little church down the street from my house, do you think know somebody that killed somebody else? I said, I don't know, man. Probably nobody in that church. He goes, yeah, exactly. How many people do we know? I didn't like the answer. I didn't like the answer to that. That's the kind of thing you need to reflect on. How many people have lost their lives in this so-called cause, or have taken the lives of others for no reason? No reason. You want to see yourselves as warriors. I know how you see yourself. I saw myself the same way. I saw myself as a warrior for my people. A warrior for your people doesn't go out and kill women and children in a house of worship. A warrior for your people doesn't go out and kill other patriotic Americans that have stood for this country. It's not noble. It's not honorable. Reflect on that. And I'm not using this time or this message to just lash out at the people that are in the movement. And I'm not lashing out at you guys and ladies anyways. I get it. I was there. I understand it. I understand why you're involved. What I'm asking you today is to reflect on those reasons. You love your families. You love your children. That's why you're in this fight. Or you believe that's why you're in this fight. How is that life? How do you explain that to your children? How do you explain that? How do you say, when they come to you and they say, hey, isn't that somebody that we know? Or isn't that somebody that believes in the movement that went and did that and killed all those people? How do you explain that? I never could. I never could explain it. I always tried to dismiss it and say, well, that person was crazy. They just did a crazy thing. That's not the way the movement is. That's not the way we are. But is it? If the ideology is driving you to do something like that to someone else, is it not toxic? Is it not hate? Is that what you want for your children? Is that what you want for your future? How many lives have been taken and robbed from this country? I'm still a patriot. I still believe in this country. It turns my stomach to see these people that are out there burning the flags and talking about how much they hate this country. I get that. I get that 100%. Most of us don't like that. Most of us are proud to be Americans. This individual today that killed those two individuals, that killed David Green, remember his name, that killed Ramona Cooper, remember her name. He's no martyr. The killer, he's no martyr. He's no patriot. He killed two Americans that served this country. Put that into perspective. Think about it. And to the Democrats and the Republicans, the lawmakers, the elected officials for this country, I want you to think about something too. Especially in the last couple of years, we've seen so much polarization in this country. We've seen so much division. We're making everything about race, just like I used to do when I was in the movement, when I was in the far-right extremist movement, when I was a neo-Nazi. That's what neo-Nazis do. That's what Nazis do. So if you're watching this video, you're going, oh, wow, he's giving it to his old comrades. He's giving it to his old friends. You're not getting off easy either, because you are part of the problem. When you are causing these divisions, when you're making everything about race, dividing this country, you're dividing our country, you're making our country weak. The rest of the world is watching. Russia is laughing at the weakness of America. Even China is seeing the weakness in our country because we're dividing along racial lines, something we haven't seen in years. You're worried about the far right extremism and racists? Stop creating them. Stop fueling those divisions. I was a propagandist. I was a speaker. I was doing these things for the National Socialist Movement when I was involved. The propaganda, that stuff that's being put out, dividing the races, dividing our country, it would be so easy to pick those things out and recruit right now with the divisions in this country. So stop doing it. Martin Luther King said, a man should be judged by the content of his character, not the color of his skin. Stop judging people based on the color of their skin. What better messenger than to hear it from somebody that used to do that their entire adult life? It is my responsibility, because of the life I led, to speak out about this today and to speak out against it. And I'm not just giving a lashing to my old comrades and the movement. It's you, America. All of you that are creating these divisions are triggering people into doing these kind of things. Can we not look at one another as our brothers and sisters? See the humanity in each other. Stop these divisions, this hatred. We have more in common with one another than we do have differences. Stop judging one another based on the color of their skin or their religion or the God they worship. Why does that matter? If you're a politician, you're a policymaker, you're a lawmaker in this country, or you're working in the media, stop making everything about race. Let's be problem solvers. Let's solve these issues. Let's unite as a country, as humanity. There's so many more important things to be focused on. Saving our planet, renewable energies, things that benefit us all. We should not be fighting one another. We should not be at each other's throats. America elected President Obama just a few years ago. Did you all forget? Every news station, every paper, every radio station said, we live in a post-racial America. We just elected our first Black president. Let that settle in for just a moment. By creating these divisions amongst the races is causing the problem. And as a former propagandist, as a former Nazi, I know that because I was one of those people that was doing those things. I was one of those people that was fueling those divisions. I know exactly how to fuel those divisions and exactly how to push those buttons. I did it for a very long time. Let's stop, take a step back. All of us can do better, but we have to do it together. Me saying these things isn't going to make a difference if it doesn't resonate with people. If our politicians and our lawmakers and our policymakers and our media don't start falling in line and making things better. Because when you fuel messages and messaging based on divisions, based on race, based on religion, whatever divide you want to throw in there, you're going to have it. You're going to have people triggered into these type of movements. Creating the divisions is going to make worse divisions, as simple as that. So let's have some solutions. Let's start working together. Let's start seeing one another as human beings, not as the color of their skin.